It's 2018, and we're already not starting on a good foot. So if you guys haven't heard the news, or if you really don't care, the head coach of the Detroit Lions for the last 4 years, I believe, 4 or 5 years, Jim Caldwell, has been fired. Now, lots of people have been calling for him to be fired, and some of his decisions coaching are not the best. Some of them are pretty good, but, you know, sometimes he does have a little bit of some questionable decisions. However, he had the Lions in the playoffs 2 years. Caldwell had them in the playoffs more consistently than anyone else had. And he had the best record of any Detroit Lions head coach since 1937. Yeah. So, why did they fire him? Well, this year they missed the playoffs. They went 9-7, which they went 9-7 last year. However, they made it to the playoffs. So, why this year is the one that he gets fired? Well, partially because they didn't make the playoffs. I also think partially because people are fed up with just the mediocrity of the Lions, which is fair enough. It's, you know, I'm sick of it too. However, I don't think that's the main problem. When Jim Caldwell, his first year, when he took over, when he actually had Ndamukong Suh and Kelvin Johnson with Matthew Stafford, with DeAndre Levy, with all of those good players that he had there, they went 11-5 and made the playoffs. And while, yes, they did lose that playoff game, they were really close, and they got screwed on the call that they should have gotten. But that's neither here nor there. They at least got in the playoffs. What was their record under Jim Schwartz the year before? I think it was something like 7-9. With the almost exact same team, mind you. And then, that was 2014. Fast forward to 2016. They were in the playoffs yet again. And they played a pretty good, pretty decent Seattle Seahawks team in the playoffs. And they obviously lost. But they were still there. Their biggest problem, they don't have a running game. They haven't had a running game since Barry Sanders. And that's not necessarily up to the head coach. That's up to the GM. Bob Quinn did just get there last year. However, he didn't draft a running back in the first round last year. So, whoever the Lions head coach ends up being for the next 3 years, if they do not draft a running back in round 1 of this year's draft, it is not Caldwell's fault. It is the GM's. Because he has not had any players to work with. This team, if you look at it on paper, is very, very mediocre. And yes, their record reflected that. 9-7. Pretty not good. But they were right in the playoff punt until the very end of the season. But do I think it's all on Jim Caldwell? No, I think the players that he has been very mediocre at best. If you guys have any special thoughts about Jim Caldwell's firing, comment down below, or just how your day was, and tell me how I did with this. This is a new setup. You guys like it? Well, if you didn't even notice, then how dare you. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Goodbye!